Hey, what is up guys, Bongonzo here. So today I'm going to be showing you a video about how to make trap melodies in Cakewalk by Bandlab. So this is going to be a very detailed video, and I'm going to go through everything you need to know. You don't really need to know in music theory. Now the fact of the matter is that every single time you make a melody, it's going to be slightly better than the last. And I'm going to be improving, and I know that you are too. So if you're just getting started, I'm just going to encourage you to keep working on it because eventually it'll start getting very easy for you. But I hope that by watching this video, you can improve your melodies and you can understand what it takes to make a good melody in Cakewalk. Let's get into it. Now in this video, I am going to assume that you know at least a little bit about Cakewalk, so you know how to make a track, you know what the smart tools are and stuff like that. So I want you to click on whatever track you're on, which is this one for me, 18. And I want you to right click the word section of the plugin. And then go to scales and choose the harmonic minor scale. And then for root note, let's choose C. And then let's enable snap to scale. Then you're gonna see all these crazy lines all over the place. And what that basically means is that if you try to place a note on one of the lines, it's going to snap to the nearest note that's in the scale. Here's a simple but fire way to make good trap melodies. I want you to place the C, note on the root note of the scale, which is the C in this case. And then I want you to make a little bit of a melody just using the C. I'm going to slow this down quite a bit. That's what I've got. That's pretty simple, and if you were to loop that over and over, it would sound pretty good. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to play a note higher than this C, so up here somewhere that sounds good with it. So let's try the F. Those sound good together. And then make a second little melody between these next notes. So I'm just guessing maybe this will sound good. That sounds pretty good. Now make a higher melody using these top notes up here. Now the reason I say listen to if it sounds good is because if I have a B up here, although it is in the scale, it kind of sounds bad, but having it on the C would sound good. I don't like this note. We've already started at the beginning of a melody. Now what I want you to do is right click on your thing, turn off the enable snap to scale, and then I want you to transpose this down a little bit because that gives you new ideas. Now maybe see around if you can place a note inside, like maybe this. That sounds really good. Let's see if we can place a note in here. So it's an octave up. That sounds good. I want to pitch it down a little bit more too. I want to pitch it down a little bit more just for my sake because I like pitching things down. Now I want to copy this over by pushing Control A and Control drag to other areas that I can just copy it to. Now, since we know this is in the key of D now we're going to right click on this again, change the root note to D, click enable snap to grade again. So now you can see what the scale, now you can see what your notes look like and how they fit in the scale. And then we're going to try to fit some notes above here. And I recommend having some notes on the beat and some notes off the beat. What do I mean by that? So if you have a note on the beat, it'd be like this. This high note is on the beat. But if you have it off the beat like this, it has more like motion to it. Instead of just being like dun 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 dun, it sounds like Now go ahead and start making a melody on top of this, but be careful that you can still loop your melody and it doesn't get too like chaotic. Let me show you what I mean. What I did there was I kind of just like placed notes randomly that kind of sounded good together, but as you can see, it didn't really sound like a trap melody because it didn't really repeat very much. The reason that these chords sound like trap beats is because it's really repeatable. In fact, you might argue that in some cases that it should be so repeatable that there shouldn't even be a melody there. That's like the case of God's Plan. If you want to listen to the instrumental, you can look that up. So since I said you should have things very simple, I'm just going to place like some things on like the off beats. And then maybe have some harmony going on. Now I want you to notice that not every note sounds good, even if it's in the same key. For example, this note right here is in the key, the B flat, but let's listen to how that note sounds. Ugh, that sounds bad. But if you bring it up to an F, it sounds way better. So now let's copy that. Whoa. And I'm gonna add one more small little thing to this melody. And really all I'm trying to do here is teach you that you want to have repetition, but you also want to have variation. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna hit a note way up here somewhere. I'm gonna hold it out a long time. And just like that, those notes up there, I didn't repeat them at all. It sounds good to have just a tiny bit of variation in your melody. Translate this down a little bit too, again. Now I changed up the melody just a tiny bit by changing up the sound I'm using, and I also added this a con digital multiply. And I'm just gonna listen to what I think there should be a high note for. I'm hearing that note. Let me try to find it. That's it, but I want to have it up an octave. So let's listen to what note we have to use. Too high. That's it. Now I copied those over. gonna copy that over. Now, I hope I didn't go too fast for you on that little thing. What we did was we just chose a quick sound. We made a relatively simple melody for seeing how many notes there are here. Like, if you break it really down and you see how much of this is copy and paste, it's really not as complicated as you think. And then we went and made a little melody up here. We made another counter melody up here. We made another counter melody right there. Now, you might be wondering, why is your melody sounding cleaner and mine is sounding super muddy? I want you to notice that these notes are really low. So if we solo these lower notes, and I'm going to use a frequency analyzer. All of these sounds are around from 100 to about 2K. So that means if you want your things to sound nice, you want everything else to fit from around maybe 1K to 20K. Everything in this top area, which is why I chose this sound. Most of it is between about 500 and up. And if you listen to these two sounds together, you can still hear both of them perfectly fine. For a quick demonstration, let's listen to the sound of octave lower. You can kind of hear that pluck sound in the high end. You can hear the kind of sound of it. But when you try to listen to what note is being played, what the real girth of the sound is, it's getting covered up in that middle range. Like those notes down there, you couldn't really tell what they were. And now let's listen to this. And now let's listen to this sound. That is like a pure sine wave. That's about 1.5 kilohertz. Let's listen to this sound. It's all about 1K and above. In fact, just looking at this makes me want to actually transpose this like synth sound up an octave. And turn it down a bit. And another thing to think about is, you might be wondering, Bongonzo, why didn't we use all this range? That range sounds so good and so warm. Let me show you why. This 808 takes up so much room. That's why you really don't want to be using more than 100. And literally on almost every single one of my beats, I grab in an EQ and I high pass around 200 hertz. Okay, so now let's listen to the sound. You could, if you were a very beginner, you could make the argument that this has a lot of warm low end to it. And you'd be more or less correct. But now let's try to bring in the 808. What in the world? That sounds so trash because there's no room for the 808. You can barely even hear if the 808's playing. As long as you're really able to listen to the song and think about what notes sound good together, you should be fine. So basically the three main takeaways are that, first of all, you can listen to your sound. You can really think about what notes sound good together. Second of all, that you at least know what scales are, and you know that as long as you stay in a scale, it will always sound like the notes fit together nicely. And third of all, that you really listen to and pay attention to where each of the frequency ranges are, so that you don't have too many sounds overlapping in the same frequency range. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, hit the like button. If you really liked it, hit the subscribe button. And I'll see you guys next week, Saturday. Just keep creating. Woo!